I welcome everyone to Creating Our Legacy.
These mist-covered mountains.
What you see now is all that I know of my father's time in the Marine Corps. He served from 1941 to 1945 in the South Pacific. He did once tell me he was the guy that filled in the foxholes on the beach afterwards. I sure wish I could share with him now.
Someday you'll return to your valleys and your farms, and you'll no longer.
Just as Jim Cohen wrote Thanks for the Memories, you can also write for the Sponson Box. Through the written word, you can personally relay your experiences and your feelings about Vietnam by writing them down. Don't worry about style, grammar, format, or anything but the story. The Vietnam Tankers Association will help edit the story and get it printed so nothing is lost.
Baptisms of fire. I've witnessed your suffering as the battle raged high, and though it hurt me so bad, in the fear and alarm, you did not desert me, my brothers in arms. There's so many different worlds.
Welcome, one and all, to Tracking Our History. These are the lives and experiences of our own. These are the podcasts. A podcast is like a radio interview. You get a phone call and tell your story. That is correct. You sit in an easy chair at home with a glass or bottle of your favorite beverage and talk about old times or new times. The choice is yours. No paper or pen, no bright lights or cameras. These are conversations between old friends. We record them and put these recordings on the internet for everyone to listen to, including your family and friends. Easy peasy. Vietnam, many of us picked up a nickname when we arrived. In a minute or two, I think we can get Blues to talk about that to open the program. Okay, folks, climb aboard. I'll get the hatch open. Hey, Blues, can you start us off with a little description of how you got the name Blues? Then perhaps you can share with the audience how I got my nickname, since you pinned me with it.
Okay, good question. Well, let's see. It was 1967, and I had joined Lieutenant Cohen platoon up at Contian, and they put me on 1-4 Bleeding Eyes with a corporal named Bert Travell. And so I started off as a loader and did my job, and eventually, like 2 days, he moved me around and put me as a driver.
Welcome to Tracking Our History, Episode 11, entitled Letters from Home. My guests today are Bruce and Nancy Van Apeldoorn. Today's story is a love story in the midst of the Vietnam War. Bruce and Nancy have been married for over 50 years, and to this interview, during the days Bruce spent in Vietnam, these two were madly in love, but not married. We have all heard the stories of the soldier receiving a Dear John letter while fighting in a war zone. These interviews bring my audience a more uplifting story of a love born before Vietnam, went through the trials of a long-distance relationship, and that love story continues to this day. Listeners, let me introduce Bruce and Nancy Van Apeldoorn. Welcome, Bruce and Nancy.
Hello. Hey, Tree. How are you doing today?
Nancy, perhaps you could give the audience a brief pre-Vietnam history of Bruce and your relationship, how you two got together, and Bruce, certainly feel free to add anything at any time.
Okay. Thank you, Tree. You know, I think it's important to begin with that others know from a woman's perspective of how things go. I remember my cousin coming to the front door. I stayed home from school, and he brought this guy that was bald as a bat, and he had this cute little walk up to the door. I saw him walking away. That's how I knew he had a cute walk.
Yeah.
And my cousin introduced us, and I didn't let him in, and they left. And that was the first time I met Bruce. But Bruce, he really remembers when my cousin and him came to John Marshall High School, where I was a junior in high school, to take me to cosmetology school, because I went to school, regular school in the morning and cosmetology in the afternoon. Well, Bruce, that's when we met. And then he asked me out on a couple of dates, the movies, drive-in movies, and a drive-in movie, and very brief relationship, seeing each other. And then he went to California. We wrote. He would call on Saturday nights when I got home from work. I worked at a sub shop selling submarine sandwiches. And we'd talk maybe sometimes two hours in the middle of the night. He was at his aunt's house. And this went on for quite a while. And then snail mail. And one time we had a little tiff in the mail. And so he went out with his cousin and danced with a girl. And we told each other this story, later on. And I went out to the drag races with a kid I'd gone out with in high school. And when I got home, I gave him a kiss on the forehead, and I knew that Bruce was the one. And so my mother, when I got in, she goes, "Nancy, you had a phone call." I said, "From who?" She goes, "Bruce." I said, "Did you tell him where I was?" And she goes, "No." Well, he called back, and he told me. He said, I want to ask you this. Today I went and I bought you a ring, white gold with a 1/4 of a carat diamond. Will you marry me?
I should have been over there, Charlie.
It wasn't your time,
It
Colonel.
was exactly my time. I knew the clock was ticking. I knew my time was coming up. But I just kept ignoring it, Except in the middle of the night, I checked those casualty lists, just praying that I didn't recognize any of the names. I don't know, I just got used to seeing my wife and kids every day, and my friends went. Guys I was in Desert Storm with went. I stayed home. I was trained to fight. If I'm not over there, what am I? Those guys. Guys like Chance. They're Marines.
Do you think you're not? Want to be with your family every night? You think you have to justify that? You better stop right there, sir. You brought Chance home. You're his witness now. Without a witness, they just disappear.
Tankers, it's time to step up. It's now time to become our witnesses. We have plenty of ways to witness. Here comes another.
The following interview is part of the USMC Vietnam Tankers Association History Project, and the interview is being conducted at the VTA reunion in St. Louis, Missouri on September 24, 2017. The interviewees are members of the Vietnam Tankers Association. And the purpose of the History Project and the interviews is to capture the experiences of our Vietnam veterans.
Talk about my time in Charlie Company, 2nd Platoon, Heavy Section. The incident took place on the 15th of January, 1967 in a province called Quang Hoi Vang, which is actually to the northwest of Marble Mountain. In fact, it was almost shadowed by Marble Mountain.
The following video interviews are part of the United States Marine Corps Vietnam Tankers Association History Project and were recorded at the Vietnam Tankers Reunion in Washington, D.C. on October the 30th, 2015. In front of me, I have two Marines. One, a tanker, the other, an infantryman, grunt. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Jan Wendling. I joined the Marine Corps and went to boot camp in June of '68. Graduated from boot camp on August 26th. Went to ITR, left ITR September 20th, and I had to leave till the 14th of October. And at that time I went to California to start tank school. We got out of tank school in December of '68.
My name is Martin Matter with the Witness to War Foundation. It's November 2nd, 2019, and we are in Seattle, Washington for the United States Marine Corps Vietnam Tankers Association reunion. Sitting with Mr. David Turner, Turner, who served in Vietnam in the United States Marine Corps. If you could tell me what years you were in the Marine Corps proper.
I entered the Marine Corps in 1968. I did my first year in Camp Hamilton with the M60s, 5th Division, heavy tanks, and then I got sent to Vietnam. On arrival of Vietnam, I entered the Alpha Company, 3rd Tank Division, Dong Ha.
And when was that approximately?
That was February of '69.
The following interview is part of the USMC VTA History Project. The interview is being conducted at the USMC VTA reunion in Seattle, Washington on November 3rd, 2019. The interviewees are members of the VTA, and the completed interviews will be posted on the VTA website at www.usmcvta.org. The purpose of the interviews and the VTA History Project is to capture the experiences of our members and make them available for future generations. Jerry?
Yeah, I went into the Marine Corps in June of 1964. I got to Camp Pendleton probably in September, October of 1964. In March of I was in Bravo Company. Actually, then I was in Headquarters Company, 3rd Tanks in the Heavies. I got transferred to, actually I was still in that, in fact I was still in Charlie Company, and I heard that they were going to put together a group of people who were going to Okinawa with the intent to get over to Vietnam, and that was in March of 1965. I went to my platoon sergeant, Sergeant Stinky Davis, and said, Sergeant, I want to go. And he said, don't worry, Hearn, you were the first one on the list.
The United States Marine Corps Vietnam Tankers Association gratefully acknowledges all the VTA members that contributed pictures, videos, podcasts, and written stories. There were 2.7 million men and women who served in Vietnam. Of those, only 610,000 are still alive today. Your stories are our legacy. Once done, your stories and experiences live forever. And so I say to you, if not you, then who? And if not now, when? You can see Pete Rich or Tree to get started today.